In this presentation, we will be discussing paid lunch equity and the steps to complete the paid lunch equity tool for the 2020-2021 school year. The goals of this presentation are to explain the purpose of the paid lunch equity or PLE tool, to understand School Food Authority or SFA responsibilities for completing the PLE tool, the school year 2020-2021 PLE exemption option, which can be found under MEMO SFS 20-48 and SP 07-2020 Paid Lunch Equity Guidance for School Year 2020-2021, the PLE tool completion timeline, steps for completing the PLE tool, and the different price increase options if the tool indicates that your school does need a price increase. Schools are required to charge students for paid meals at a price that is, on average, equal to the difference between free meal reimbursement and the paid meal reimbursement. Schools that currently charge less for meal prices than the amount needed to create paid lunch equity are required to either, number one, gradually increase their prices over time until they meet the requirement, or two, supplement their food service operating funds with non-federal funds to ensure equity. Regulations at 7 CFR 210.14e require SFAs participating in the NSLP or National School Lunch Program to ensure sufficient funds are provided to the Nonprofit School Food Service or SFS account for meals served to students not eligible for free or reduced price meals. Should the tool indicate that paid lunch prices are not in compliance with PLE requirements for the new year, action will need to be taken by the SFA. So who must complete the paid lunch equity tool annually? All SFAs, regardless of current lunch prices, must annually review their paid lunch prices to ensure compliance with the paid lunch equity requirement using the current year USDA paid lunch equity tool. Any public, charter, and private school system that collects and processes free and reduced price meal applications is required to complete the PLE tool. This includes any residential child care institution or RCCI that has day students enrolled in their system in addition to the residential students. However, there are some exceptions to who must complete the tool through the following exemptions. Any public, charter, or private school system that participates in Community Eligibility Provision, or CEP, on a district or system-wide basis. This is an instance where all schools participate in CEP. Any RCCI without day students, and in school year 2020-2021, any school system or RCCI with day students that is able to demonstrate that it had a positive or zero balance in its nonprofit school food service account as of December 31st of 2019 may be exempt from completion of the 2021 PLE tool. While SFAs that meet the criteria are exempt from the 2020-21 PLE requirements, SFAs still maintain the discretion to complete the steps necessary to determine their target school year 2020-2021 paid lunch price consistent with program regulations at 7 CFR 210.14e and adjust their paid meal prices accordingly should they choose. In other words, it is at the SFA's discretion whether it chooses to still complete the PLE tool and implement the recommended action or actions despite being eligible for the exemption. For all SFAs that meet the requirements and choose to apply the school year 2020-2021 PLE exemption in the coming school year, please be reminded that documentation used to determine that the SFA had a positive or break-even balance in the nonprofit school food service account as of December 31st of 2019 must be maintained by the SFA as the source document. and the decision to utilize this exemption must be documented in the upcoming school year Child Nutrition Program online application in the Schedule A. This slide shows a screenshot of the portion of the Schedule A that requests information about the paid lunch equity exemption. The drop-down menu on the right-hand side of the screen will give you options for the PLE exemption for which you are applying. Under Balance, you will enter the nonprofit school food service account balance as of December 31st of 2019. As a reminder, you need a positive or zero balance to be eligible for an exemption under this option. When should the tool be completed? The PLE tool should be completed for the upcoming school year at or near the end of the current year. This allows ample time for the district to determine how it will proceed in the upcoming school year if the tool shows that paid lunch prices are insufficient. If paid lunch prices are insufficient, the district may then A. Increase the paid student price for the meals in the upcoming school year. B. Keep paid student prices the same but contribute non-federal funding to cover the difference owed to the school food service. The difference meaning the cost to produce the meals less the sum of the paid meal price and paid federal reimbursement received. Or C. SFAs may choose to use a combination of both options above. Please note that if the PLE tool shows that the current paid status meal charge is insufficient and the district wishes to cover this by increasing meal charges in the upcoming school year, a district is never required to increase the paid lunch charge by more than 10 cents at each price point in any given year. This is true even if the tool indicates that paid meal charges are more than 10 cents lower than they should be. For example, charging $1.25 when the SFA should be charging $1.50. We'll cover this in an example shortly. Where can you find the PLE tool? Here's a screenshot of the home page of the Child Nutrition Program or CNP website. Prior to logging in, look to the right of the login area and scroll down to the School Food Service or SFS area, and you will see the Paid Lunch Equity tool and guidance for 2020-2021. When you click the link, you will be prompted to download the tool for use. The tool is an Excel file that you can save to a secure location, such as to your desktop or to a jump drive or both prior to beginning work in the document. Save this file often as you work. You will also need to keep this document on file for 3 years plus the current year. Next, we will discuss some paid lunch equity examples. Please note that it may be helpful to follow along with us in the tool as we work through the examples. In order to complete the 2020-2021 PLE tool, you will need the following information at a minimum. Number 1, the weighted average price from school year 2010-2011. If only one price point was charged for all grades and or all schools in the district, then that price is your weighted average price. However, if the SFA charged multiple paid lunch prices in the 2010-2011 school year, additional information will be needed in order to calculate the weighted average price. Number 2, you will also need the paid lunch price or prices for the 2019-2020 school year. And number 3, the number of paid lunches claimed in October of 2019 by price point. As a note, this will exclude any school that was participating in CEP at that time. If the PLE tool shows that a price increase is needed, the SFA may do one of the following. Number 1, increase the price in the upcoming year. Number 2, keep paid prices the same and contribute non-federal funds. Or number 3, do a combination of the two. How do I navigate the CMP website to display prior year information? These are things such as prior year paid lunch prices and/or claims data. Number 1, when logged into the CMP website and under the green School Food Service tab, click on Claims. Number 2, then click on View Claims. And number 3, without accessing any particular claim month in the current year, click on the drop-down displaying the current year and select the program year that you wish to view. For instance, school year 2019 for 2018-2019 information, or school year 2011 for 2010-2011 information. Here's a screenshot of what we were just describing. You can see the drop-down menu for the change program year. Once the appropriate year has been selected, you can view any claim filed from that year by clicking on the appropriate month, or you can click on Forms to review the price information on the Schedule A from the year you have selected. Let's work through an example of completing the PLE tool. In example 1, we have a single-site SFA that serves grades kindergarten through 12th grades. All grades were charged $2.70 per paid student lunch in school year 2019-2020. With these details, we know that we will also need the paid lunch price from school year 2010-2011. When we look that up, we see that per the school year 2011 Schedule A, the paid lunch price for all students was $2.40. We will also need the paid lunch price from school year 2019-2020 as indicated on the left. And lastly, we will need the number of paid lunches claimed in October of 2019 by price point. Again, let's pretend like we've looked up our October 2019 claim and determine that we had 5,273 paid lunches during that month. Please note that in this scenario, there is only one price point utilized by the school system in school year 2010-2011 and in school year 2019-2020. Therefore, this example will be the most simplistic of the examples provided. So here we can see a screenshot of the PLE tool for 2020-2021. The PLE tool now has a customizable field for the SFA name at the top of the instructions form. In this scenario, we will begin with the Unrounded Requirements Finder tab. You can access this tab or any other tab by clicking the link from the Instructions tab or by clicking directly on the tab labeled Unrounded Requirements Finder at the bottom of the workbook. Both options are circled for you here. Now we see a screenshot from the Unrounded Requirement Finder. SFAs with a complete and accurate prior year, school year 2019-20 PLE tool on file can skip the lower half of the Unrounded Requirement Finder and start with Step 1. However, it is encouraged to start from the very beginning as not to duplicate any potential errors that you may have made in previous school years. We recommend you begin here where you see the star. You will enter the weighted paid lunch price from school year 2010-2011, which in our example was $2.40. Once the paid lunch price from school year 2010-2011 is entered, hit the Enter key. Remember that when there is only one single price established for all paid lunches in a district, such as $2.40 for grades K through 12 as in our example, the paid lunch price is equal to the weighted average price. This step provides you with the value that needs to be keyed into the peach-colored box above in Step 1. Now you can see that we've entered $2.40 in the box and hit Enter. The two subsequent boxes were auto-calculated by the form, and we see a value of $3 in the yellow box. This $3 will be entered into the peach-colored box in Step 1 at the top of the screen. On this screen, you can see that we entered $3 in the peach box in step 1 and hit enter. When we hit enter, the second white box auto-populated with the requirement price to the nearest cent, $3.09. The next tab we will proceed to is the price calculator. Again, we can get to this tab either by clicking on the tab at the bottom of the Excel sheet or by clicking the link within the text of the Instructions tab. First, the system will need you to input the monthly number of paid lunches as found on your October 2019 claim. Next, we will enter the paid lunch price. We said we charged $2.70 for all paid meals at all age grade groups. As a reminder, you can review your paid lunch price for school year 2019-2020 by viewing the Schedule A in school year 2020. The spreadsheet will auto-populate the monthly revenue from the number of paid lunches and the corresponding price point. In this scenario, our monthly revenue was $14,237.10. The tool also auto-calculates your weighted average price, which in this example is the same as our paid lunch price since we only charged one price point. We will see in a future example how this tool is utilized when multiple price points are charged. In this particular example, after inputting the number of meals claimed in October of 2019 and the paid lunch price in school year 2019-2020, the tool determined that the current paid price is not sufficient. If you remember on the last tab, we found that the price requirement to the nearest cent was $3.09. What this shows us is that the school system is not charging enough at $2.70 to cover the cost of paid lunch prices through reimbursement and money received from students. Now we zoom out a little and can see the other portions of the Price Calculator tab in the PLE tool. Number 1 will auto-populate from the first tab we worked on, the Unrounded Requirement Finder. The information from Section 2 is pulled from your October claim, and the information in Section 3 will auto-calculate after you have entered the information from your claim in Section 2. Remember that although the tool shows that the system should be charging nearly 40 cents more per lunch, the system is only required to make a 10-cent increase in any given school year to remain in compliance with PLE. After completing the school year 2020-2021 Price Calculator tab, the SFA finds that it is currently not charging enough for paid meals at the price point of $2.70. If you will remember from earlier slides, SFAs have 3 options to meet the PLE requirement. Number 1, gradually increase their prices over time until they meet the requirement. Number 2, supplement their food service operating funds with non-federal funds to ensure equity. Or 3, a combination of both 1 and 2. In this example, the system wishes to increase the paid lunch price to $2.80 in the upcoming school year in order to meet PLE requirements. If the SFA chooses this option to increase the paid lunch price, the user may skip directly to the 2020-2021 Report tab. To get to the Report tab, you can access it by either clicking on the Report tab at the bottom of the Excel document or through the text in the Instructions tab. This SFA wishes to achieve compliance with PLE requirements in school year 2020-2021 by increasing its paid lunch price. To finalize the PLE tool in this example, the SFA need only complete the school year 2020-2021 report. In the appropriate drop-down feature under Section 2, the SFA will select that it has chosen to increase its school year 2020-2021 average weighted price. At this point, the PLE tool is considered complete for the system once the file is saved and maintained for 3 years plus the current school year. It's recommended to print out the entire document and keep the hard copy on file as well. In this particular example, since the school system only went up the required 10 cents and not the full 35 cents, the system should expect the tool to require action again when they have it completed the following school year. Please note that this does not need to be sent to the state agency. You only need to maintain the file in your records. What if the PLE tool had shown that no action was needed? If no action had been needed by the SFA for the upcoming school year, the school year 2021 price calculator, which was the second tab we completed, would have displayed the following message in the gray required price increase for school year 2020-21 box. No price increase necessary. In this instance, the SFA could have then proceeded directly to the school year 2020-21 report to finalize the tool to reflect that no price changes are required in the upcoming school year. Had no further action been needed and the price was deemed sufficient as currently set, then the tool would be considered complete after the school year 2019-2020 report tab was accessed and the response as listed on the screenshot was input, at or above equity. In this instance, the tool could have then been saved and considered complete for the upcoming school year. Now we will cover a more complex example of completing the PLE tool. In this scenario, we're looking at a multi-site SFA with multiple price points charged. Elementary paid lunch students are charged $2.25, and middle and high school students are charged $2.50 for lunch. These prices were for the 2019-2020 school year. There are other details needed for completion of the PLE tool at a minimum. The paid lunch prices from school year 2010-2011, from the school year 2011 Schedule A, it was $1.75 for elementary and $1.95 for middle and high school students. The paid lunch price from school year 2019-2020 from school year 2019 in the Schedule A, as seen to the left. The number of paid lunches claimed in October of 2019 by price point. This total is obtained from the claim, but the SFA will also need their SFS 7 participation reports, as there are more steps required with multiple price points. Again, in this example, we will begin with the unrounded requirement finder that can be accessed either through the text links in the instructions tab or through the tabs at the bottom of the document. SFAs with a complete and accurate prior year school year 2019-2020 PLE tool on file can skip the lower half of the unrounded requirement finder and start with step 1 at the top of this tab. However, it is encouraged to start from the very beginning as not to duplicate any potential errors previously made. If starting with step 1, data is needed from previous year's PLE tool to proceed. This will be found on the school year 2019-2020 unrounded price requirement. In example 1, we were able to simply report the one price of $2.40 charged to paying students in school year 2010-2011. However, in this scenario, since the system charged two different prices in school year 2010-2011, we don't automatically know the weighted average price. Therefore, we will have to click on the link that the arrow on the slide is pointing to so we can calculate the true weighted average price. So here we see a screenshot of the school year 2010-2011 price calculator. To determine the 2010-11 weighted average price, we must complete this table. This table requires paid lunches claimed in October of 2010 by district at each price point, and the October 2010 claim can give you the total number of paid meals claimed. However, it can't give you the breakdown by price point. For that, the SFS 7 reports are needed. In school year 2010-2011, this SFA charged $1.75 for elementary students and $1.95 for middle and high school students for paid lunches. The SFA will need to pull their SFS 7 participation reports. Some districts will only have their October 2010 data manually filed, and others will have electronic versions. Total reimbursable paid student lunches served for the month of October 2010 needs to be tallied by price point at all schools. This means we will need to determine the total sold at $1.75 and $1.95. This is where you would look on the SFS 7 report to total the number of lunches at each price point. When we add up all of the paid meals in October of 2010, we see that we served 5,800 paid lunches at the $1.95 price point. And we sold a total of 6,500 paid lunch meals at the $1.75 price point. We will then enter the data into the 2010-2011 weighted average price calculator. We sold 6,500 paid lunches at $1.75 and 5,800 paid lunches at $1.95 in October of 2010. The tool will automatically calculate the monthly revenue and the weighted average price. Once entered, the tool tells us that the SFA's weighted average price for school year 2010-2011 was $1.84. Now we can go back to the Unrounded Requirement tab to enter this 2010-2011 value of $1.84. Again, you can either click on the tab at the bottom of the document or click on the link showed here in the red box. Back at the Unrounded Requirement Finder, we will begin with the bottom box. Enter the value obtained of $1.84 from the school year 2010-2011 Weighted Average Price tab, displayed on the last slide, into the bottom table into the peach box. Then you will hit Enter to have the tool auto-calculate for you. When you hit Enter after entering your school year 2010-2011 weighted average price, the weighted average prices from school years 2011 through 2018 will auto-populate, as well as the gray and yellow boxes to the right of where we entered $1.84. Please note that we will be pulling the value from the yellow box to enter into Step 1, which is above this table on the Unrounded Requirements Finder tab. Next, we will complete the peach-colored Step 1 box. We will transfer the number that appeared in that last yellow box on the bottom right of $2.71 into the peach-colored box in Step 1 and hit Enter. When you hit Enter, the table will auto-populate the requirement price to the nearest cent. Here we see that it's $2.84. Let's review what we did. First, $1.84 is entered into the peach-colored field in the bottom table. $1.84 was the value that we found from our average weighted price tool. Hit the Enter key and the next two fields will populate. Next, the pre-populated dollar value of $2.71 from the Price To area in the bottom table must be entered into the peach-colored box in Step 1. Hit the Enter key again. And now this tab is complete. You can proceed to the school year 2020-2021 price calculator. We can see that our requirement price to the nearest cent is $2.84 seen on the right of the peach-colored box in step 1. This tab is now complete and you can proceed to the school year 2020-2021 price calculator. The system will now need you to enter the number of paid lunches claimed by price point in October of 2019. This will be determined the same way that the October 2010 meals data by price point was determined, using both the claims and the SFS7 participation report data. We have entered the information in for October of 2019 in the screenshot by price point for $2.25 and $2.50. After the number of paid lunches by price point are entered, the table will auto-calculate the weighted average price. In this screenshot, we zoom out a little to see the entire page. The PLE tool shows that the district is presently not charging enough to paying students at $2.25 for elementary and $2.50 for middle and high school students. We see underneath the top table that a total price increase for school year 2020-21 would be 44 cents. A decision must now be made as to whether the district will elect to A. Increase school year 19-20 paid lunch price, B. Keep prices the same and contribute non-federal funds to meet compliance, or C. A combination of increasing the paid lunch price and a contribution of non-federal funds. In this scenario, the district elects to contribute non-federal funding to meet compliance. Remember the number circled on this slide. We will need it for our final tab, School Year 2021 Non-Federal Calculator. To get to the final tab, which is the 2020-21 Non-Federal Calculator, we can access it either from the bottom tabs or through the text link on the Instructions tab. Here we see the 2020-21 Non-Federal Contribution Calculator. First, you will enter the school year 2019-2020 weighted average price from the last slide, which was $2.36. Next, the user enters the grand total of paid lunches claimed in school year 2018-19, excluding data from CEP schools if applicable. To obtain this value, the SFA will need to access all 18-19 SFS claims through the CMP website or software and combine each month's total number of paid lunches into an annualized total. In this scenario, there were 120,300 paid lunches claimed for school year 2018-2019. With the completion of items referenced on the previous slide, the SFA should now be able to determine the full amount owed to school food service to cover paid status meals when no price increase is to be made. In this scenario, the SFA would be owed $52,932 in non-federal funds to cover the cost difference. Lastly, we will enter the combined non-federal source funds contributed to SFS from school year 2011 through 2012 through school year 2019-2020, which is inclusive of start and end years listed in this range. This value can include state funds provided to CMP, excess MFP dollars, which is an amount above the required 12.5%, donations, etc. In this instance, $80,000 in non-federal funding was contributed to the nonprofit school food service account during this time frame, which is sufficient to cover the almost $53,000 owed. In this particular scenario, the district had enough excess non-federal funding from prior school years to fully cover this balance needed for paid meals. The district chose not to increase meal prices in the upcoming school year and will not need to contribute any further non-federal funding beyond the excess already available from years 2011 through 2018-2019. At this point, we can proceed to the school year 2019-2020 report. Again, we can access the final tab, the school year 2020-2021 report, either by using the tabs at the bottom of the workbook or through the text links in the Instructions tab. The last step is to access the school year 2020-21 report tab and to select in the peach drop-down box the option that the district will utilize. In example 2, this district opted to contribute non-federal carryover sources for school year 2020-2021. The PLE tool is now complete. The SFA must save the data on file for 3 years plus the current year. Let's recap the 2 scenarios we've covered today. In the first example covered, the SFA charged a single price point for all grades. After entering the required data into the 2020-21 school year PLE tool, it was determined that the paid lunch price at $2.70 was not sufficient. The SFA elected to increase its paid lunch price for the upcoming school year by the minimum amount required of 10 cents rather than assessing a large price increase from one school year to the next. This SFA is now in compliance with its school year 2020-21 PLE requirements. The PLE tool will need to be completed again prior to the school year 2021-2022 school year to determine action needed for compliance in that new year. In the second example covered, the SFA charged 2 price points pending on grade level, with a lower price for elementary students and a higher price for middle and high school students. After entering the required data into the 2020-21 PLE tool, it was determined that the paid lunch prices were not sufficient. Rather than increasing paid lunch prices in the upcoming school year, the SFA elected to cover the difference through use of non-federal funding, keeping the paid lunch prices unchanged for the coming school year. This SFA is now in compliance with its school year 2020-21 PLE requirements. This SFA will also need to complete the school year 2021-2022 PLE tool prior to the start of the school year to determine any actions needed. Please be reminded that, number 1, if your district charged more than one price point for paid lunches in school year 2010-2011 and or school year 2018-2019, you will need to access the SFS 7 participation reports from October of the respective school year to complete the tool. Districts will not be able to properly complete the tool without the information of the number of paid meals claimed by price point. If your district partially participated in CEP in school year 2019-2020, you will need to ensure that you exclude any paid meals that may have been claimed at CEP participating schools from the information reported under the school year 2021 price calculator tab for October of 2019. The tool will indicate one of the 2 outcomes after completion of the first 2 tabs, the Unrounded Requirement Finder and the school year 1920 price calculator. Either A, no price increase is necessary as shown in the gray box, or that action is needed to achieve compliance. Indication of this will be provided under the blue total price increase for school year 2020-21 box in the form of the dollar value needed to be applied. If the tool shows that the SFA must take action to be in compliance with PLE requirements, options could include increasing paid lunch prices for the new school year as specified in the tool, but by not more than 10 cents, even if more of an increase is warranted, keeping prices the same and instead contributing non-federal funds to achieve compliance, which requires completion of the school year 2021 Non-Federal Calculator tab, or a combination of items 1 and 2 which requires completion of school year 2021 split calculator, which was not covered in this training. It's not a choice we typically see SFAs make. If you have questions about this particular option, please contact the state agency. Please be reminded that the tool is not considered complete until the following are addressed. The school year 2020-21 report tab must be completed by all SFAs that are required to complete the PLE tool, regardless of outcome indicated by the tool, such as at compliance versus action needed to achieve compliance. In the drop-down box available on that tab, SFAs must indicate outcome by selecting the appropriate response out of the available options listed on the right-hand side of this slide. Your outcome options are increase school year 2020-2021 average weighted price, contribute non-federal sources for school year 2020-2021, both, at or above equity, or exemption granted. To summarize, the PLE tool is required annually for all school systems that process free and reduced price meal applications, even if only at a select number of schools. However, please be reminded of the flexibility in place for school year 2020-21 for those SFAs that can demonstrate a positive or zero balance in their nonprofit SFS account as of December 31st of 2019. The PLE tool will provide guidance to systems who must complete the tool on whether paid meal charges are sufficient for the upcoming school year or insufficient for the upcoming school year, in which case the district may elect to increase the paid lunch price for the upcoming school year, keep paid lunch prices as is and instead contribute non-federal funding to cover the cost, or to do a combination of options 1 and 2. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call at the state agency at 225-342-9661 or send us an email at childnutritionprograms@la.gov. Thank you for attending this training with us.